There was a very heartbreaking side that we saw in the semi-final at the Australian Open. Novak Djokovic, one of the greats of the game, he unfortunately had to withdraw from the semi-final after losing the first set because it was a calf strain. Or was it? Now, Novak Djokovic came in the press conference and he pointed out how severe the injury was, and he also gave an indication about his future participation in the Australian Open. Because after he walked away, the crowd were booing him because they felt that, okay, he had suffered an injury, it was minor enough, he was probably faking it, and that's why he left. This conspiracy theory was peddled in the Alcaraz game. John McEnroe was guilty of it when he said that, oh, maybe he's faking the injury. But Novak Djokovic has pulled through such injuries. But here, he just couldn't. And in the press conference, Novak Djokovic, on that injury, how he was coping up for 48 hours prior to the game against Alexander Zverev. Now, Djokovic clearly mentioned, I didn't hit a ball since the Alcaraz quarterfinal match. Until an hour before today, 1 hour before the semi-final match against Alexander Zverev, I did everything possible to manage the muscle tear. It wasn't a sprain or anything, it was a muscle tear. Towards the end of the first set, I felt more pain, but it was too much to handle. Now imagine an alpha male fitness like the Novak Djokovic. He's won Australian Opens with a hamstring tear, with an abdominal tear. Yet here the pain was so severe that he just couldn't continue. Now there are other conspiracy theorists and other anti-Djokovic fans who were stating that, oh, had he won the first set, he would have continued playing on. A question was asked in the press conference, like, had you won the first set, would you have continued? To that, Djokovic gave a very clear answer. If I had won the first set, I would have tried a few games in the second set. But the pain was getting worse. It would have been a huge uphill battle for my fitness to stay in the rallies for another 3 to 4 hours. I don't think I had that in the tank. Now imagine if Djokovic had won the first set, in the second set he said, oh no, I can't continue. It would have been even more heartbreaking because he was up a set. Which is why you have to understand that if Djokovic, one of the prime players who's got supreme fitness, yes, it's not been with him for the past couple of years, if he pulls out of a match, that means the injury is severe. Now, amongst the big three, you have noticed Roger Federer, Rafael Nadal, towards the fag end, when their careers were plagued by injuries, they knew it was time to go. And that's why they retired. Nadal has retired in 2024. Federer retired a couple of years before that. Now, Novak Djokovic, whether he continues to play in 2025 or 2026, that will be the major question. But even if you look at his Australian Open, he wanted to sum it up. Djokovic mentioned that for the standards that I have kept, I am disappointed that I did not reach the final and go on to win the trophy. But then he felt, looking at the backdrop, that yes, injuries have plagued me for the past couple of seasons. He played this tournament very well. He mentioned, I thought I have played really well. If I was physically fit and ready to battle, I liked my chances. He was really confident heading into the game against Alexander Zverev. Yes, he would have faced an uphill battle against a Yannick Sinner or a Ben Shilton, whoever would win that. But Djokovic was really liking the way how he was playing, especially the battle that he had against Carlos Alcaraz. He showed that yes, he could continue for the long haul, but the injury was so severe that he just couldn't continue. But is this the last Australian Open for Novak Djokovic? Because when he walked out of the Rod Laver Arena amidst the boos and everything, the question was asked, he's not younger. Is this the last time we have seen Novak Djokovic in Australia? To that he mentioned, I really don't know. There is a chance. I have to see how the season goes. Whether I will have a revised schedule, I don't know. I have had the biggest success here. And if my fitness is there and if I am motivated enough, I won't rule out coming back to Australia. But now he will go back to Europe. He'll assess with his physical team, with his medical team, what is the situation, and then they'll take a call. His next tournament is Qatar, but his participation will depend on whether he will play in that. But This injury could not have come at a worse time for Novak Djokovic because he's running out of time. This is the final year potentially where he can gun for Grand Slam number 25. He's already won 10 in Australia, 4 in US Open, 14 hard courts, 7 in grass, 3 in clay. Djokovic has nothing to prove, but if he wins 25, he will be immortal. But the fact of the matter is he's now racing against time. Fitness is not with him at this point. And if he doesn't win anything in 2025, then most likely he may not win his 25th Grand Slam. Time is running out. But the speculation that whether this was his last Australian Open is open. We don't know whether he'll be back next year. If he wins one more, fitness doesn't hold, then he may call it quits in 2025. Like how he did towards the end when Rafael Nadal, his injury woes became far too much to handle. Thank you so much, folks, for joining us for this video. Subscribe to Sports Today for all the latest news and analysis.